Okay, we're at the end. The question comes, in this uncertain future that I've just sketched out in broad strokes, really, can conflict be avoided? Are we in a position that the world was in 1914, with aggressive leaders, especially in Germany, with a declining Great Britain that didn't have the stomach really to stand up to Germany, but eventually did when its Russian ally went into the Balkans? Should we be worrying about potential conflict between China and the U.S.? There's a trope, an analogy, that historians like to use, and it goes back to the Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BC, fought in Greece, fought between Athens and Sparta. It's called the Thucydides trap. Thucydides was an ancient Greek historian, and he wrote about the Peloponnesian War. And he said, when things grow tense, as they did between Athens and Sparta, there's a trap that springs. And when that trap springs, you lose any ability to change your mode of operation, and war is inevitable. So the question is, are we exposing right now Thucydides' trap? Is that trap already sprung? I don't think it is. It certainly was sprung in 1914 August, when the guns of August roared and Germany and Britain and their allies got involved in a war that was unspeakable in its fury, that killed 16 million people all told, including 10 million soldiers. 20 million more were grievously wounded. And then on top of that, you get the flu epidemic, which killed 50 million nationwide. A tremendous loss of life because the trap was sprung. So the question, I think, for the U.S. and China in 2014, where are we going and what can we do to avoid possible conflict? Again, trying to learn the right lessons from 1914, not the wrong lessons. Much has to be done. Much has to be done. And I think it falls to all of us to make those things happen. We need to make sure that what we do closes that trap, doesn't open the trap. So the rise of China is not to be feared. The rise of China is inevitable. It will continue. The United States needs to pay attention to it, but the United States also needs to have a clear vision of what it is and how its relationship to China should be structured, and then what can we do as individuals to help in that restructuring. So I would say that these two guys have a little bit to do with this. And Xi Jinping, isn't that a great picture? I wish they got along like that. They clearly have to represent their countries, do they not? And the national interests of these two countries will be paramount in their thinking. And they are at loggerheads to some extent. But we're not at loggerheads, folks. In this room, we have the opportunity to do different things. We don't hold the positions that these gentlemen hold. And so I was looking today and thinking about what's going on here at City U. And it's really quite remarkable. I asked, who did I ask? How many of the students in the, what's the name of that college? Help me. It's, yes, the Media College. How many of those students are not Hong Kong residents? And I got sort of a fuzzy answer, maybe 10%. I bet it's more than that. What a phenomenal college. And all the things they're doing, and that technology is just remarkable. This PowerPoint's a joke compared to the things they can do. And so I was so impressed with that. And then I know about the exchange agreements which exist here. That's the future for us as colleagues, if you will. We need to have all kinds of exchange agreements. We need to send students abroad. We need to welcome students to Hong Kong. And we can build bridges, which are essential to build. We need to do, the United States does, the same thing with China. A few years ago at Tennessee, we were contacted by Tsinghua University and said, they asked us, would you be willing to send faculty and students and staff to Tsinghua in the run-up to the Olympics of 2008 to help our students become more fluent in spoken Chinese? These would be at the end of the first year students. These are brilliant students, as you know, at Tsinghua. And we said, of course. And so every year for several years, we sent 30 of our personnel to Tsinghua in the summer to work in the summer boot camp, the English boot camp, they called it. And it was the most amazing interchange. Our faculty and students and staff came back just ecstatic about what they learned about Tsinghua, what they learned about Chinese history, what they learned about current China. That's something we should continue, even though the Olympics are over. We need to continue that kind of interchange. I'm going to conclude on this note. Ooh, I'm over time. There's a Semester at Sea program. Have you ever heard of Semester at Sea? It calls here at least once a year in Hong Kong, also Shanghai. I've been involved with that, Monica and I have, for better part of 30 years. And that was the brainchild of C.Y. Tong. And it has been carried on by C.H. Tong, Tong Chi-hua, and C.C. Tong. And so I had a nice meeting with C.C. yesterday. What an urbane and wonderful person he is. And we talked about the future of Semester at Sea. If President Kuo hadn't had to miss our little conversation we were scheduled this afternoon, I was going to pitch something to him about Semester at Sea. Because in 2010, when we were here on the ship, Wei Kuo came to the ship with a fair number of faculty and students from City University. And I thought to myself, why don't we have a relationship between City University and Semester at Sea? The Tong's generosity provides full scholarships to Chinese students to sail on that ship. It also would welcome a City University faculty to sail and teach on the ship. What a wonderful thing that would be to build the bridge and solidify the bridge that already exists between City University and other universities across the country. We can do those things. We can't solve the problems that poor Obama is going to face domestically, nor what he and Xi Jinping are going to talk about on November 12th in Beijing. But clearly we can do what we can do to make sure that history stops rhyming and that we have a new era rather than a repeat of history. Now, I'm done. I'd love it if you had questions. I know we're a little over time, but that's typical of a professor. Thank you very much.